Good morning, everyone. This is Laura Gisborne, and you are in the right place if you are looking to find out about how to hire a rock star team. Welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning. I hope that what I'm going to cover with you is going to be highly valuable. I'm going to jet to Arizona this afternoon, so I've got to make it short and sweet. So I'm going to give you as much as I can in the short time that we have. And usually I try to open up for Q&A at the end, but I'm not sure we'll have time today. So if we don't have time for Q&A, please take advantage of my invitation to get on a call with me. No obligation. I'll make it really easy for you because I think that this is going to open up. I know a lot of you already, and I know it's going to open up a lot of questions for you. So what brought you here was an invitation to really look at how to get out of overwhelm, how to put yourself in the position as being a business owner instead of being a self-employed person. And after being in business for almost 30 years and having 9 different companies, I've got a lot of things to share with you, a lot of things that I've messed up that I'm hoping that you might be able to learn from and really get an idea about an effective hiring method that really helps you have a free way of running your business, not feeling trapped by your business, not feeling like you are at the mercy of your business. A lot of us get into business because we're excited about it, and then all of a sudden that thing that we were so passionate about is not so much fun. So what I want to really do is share with you how to build a team of people that really love working for you, that are passionate about your mission and your vision, and how to do this even if you don't feel like you're ready. The biggest concern that I hear when I'm out in the world speaking and traveling around and working with entrepreneurs is, how am I going to afford this? I'm going to share with you today how your team is really the key to your success. It's the number one key for you to be super successful as a business owner and really be able to do the things you love to do and create the impact that you're here to create. So let's dive in. And for those of you that are new to my world, I'll talk to you a little bit about kind of why I love this work and why I've been doing it. But what I know is that having a powerful team is the biggest number one key that I know for you to have freedom. So freedom is important to you. And, it's Independence Day in the United States this week, so we've been really paying attention to a lot of that. If this is something that's important to you, I want you to pay attention and take good notes because I speak rather quickly and I've got a lot to cover for you. So turn everything off, get really focused, and let me share with you how it is that you can have your own freedom and have your rockstar team really support you. Now, this is a picture of my husband and I. And I think that the biggest gift for myself as a business owner has been having a team behind me that has run our businesses in times when it was not easy. In April of this year, my husband had an emergency quadruple bypass. We almost lost him. He's 56 years old. It's not something that we expected. It's not something that we had prepared for, and he didn't have any indicating signs. And a lot of people want to know, how come we didn't know? We went to the doctor. He had chest pain for 3 months. They kept thinking he had acid indigestion. It just is what it is. When we got to the hospital, finally, we got to the cardiologist. He immediately put him in the emergency room, and the main artery to his heart was 100% blocked. So they call that artery, they call that type of blockage a widowmaker. And some of you I know have had this experience in your own families. It's shocking. It's not something that there is any way to prepare for, I don't believe. But we were really, really blessed that we were in the right place at the right time. Had an amazing surgeon, saved his life, gave us a few more years. He does have heart disease. We're not sure how long we get to have him now, but we get to have him. And every day he's getting stronger. What's important for you is that when those things come up in your own life, what's going to happen for you? Do you have the ability to handle the surprises? Do you have the ability for your business to keep moving forward? I literally stopped working for 6 weeks, actually almost 8 weeks total. And our business didn't miss a beat. We actually are growing. We're on track to have the biggest year we've had since we started Legacy Leaders Global. And I want that for you. I want you to know that you can have a business that's running with you and without you. And, we don't always want it to be a hard time that you have to have this. It's really about, what does it look like for you to have a business that's thriving and running and really supporting you so that you can get out and make the impact that you're here to make. So that you're not just feeling like, again, that you're in the grind, but that you're really growing and your teams get to grow with you. So your community grows, you get to grow. It is, for me, after having all of these different companies over the last 30 years, I'm truly grateful that each year there's new places of growing and opportunities. So I want you to know that you can do this too, and that business owners who really get this handled, that understand the power of team, have this great impact in the world. None of us are going to do it alone. And so more that you can get these things handled, the greater your impact becomes in the world. And it's not about you taking time off to just focus on your business and not have any fun. I want you to really look at taking this time this morning. I realize we're recording this on a Saturday morning. Don't neglect your family and don't neglect yourself. I think this is one of those things that I see women entrepreneurs specifically struggle with, is the balance of how do I do it all? How do I actually make time for the people I love? How do I actually pay attention to my team? I'm going to give you a really simple formula today that I'm hoping will help, and easy steps. And like anything, it comes with practice. So don't be hard on yourself, but remember that there's no race to the finish line. I'd say if there's one thing I've learned in the last few months with Scott's experience and my experience has been that, when it's over, it's over. And I want you to really, really know that you're building this business, that you have the freedom that you have. The purpose of this is to really serve others. But, this begins at home, right? Serve yourself, serve the people that you love, and make sure that you make time so that as your business is growing, you're not feeling stuck or overwhelmed. For me, this is, one of the great freedoms that I have today with Legacy Leaders is to be able to travel the world with causes that I care about. And so you'll see me in different places. This is me in the Amazon rainforest last year. Being able to have this freedom to go and do great things is one of the things that the financial freedom provides, but the business really running without you is only created by building a rock star team. And that's where your time freedom comes up so that you can really do the things that you want to do. So why I put this on and why I invited you to come is that I really believe that you, like me, if you're attracted to the work that I'm sharing in my experience, we are on the same path. And what I know is that you've probably already achieved some level of business success. I always say we tend to attract not the type A's of the world, but the AAA high achievers. And sometimes when we move into a new business or we get to a place where we feel like we're not having the profitability or the success that we think we should be having, there's some places where there's more to learn. So chances are that you're here because you've got some type of unique talent and skill set, and everything that's happened for you has brought you to this time today so that you can really look at what your next steps are. So thank you for taking the time to join me on this call and to pay attention to your bigger why. Really, what's the purpose here of this work is not just to create more profitability, but really to create more purpose. And I know that as a community of legacy leaders, we are coming together so that we can use our superpowers, use our impact, use our experience to help those that are a step behind us. There's a whole lot of people in the world, actually close to 3 billion people in the world, who live on less than $3 a day. And, my big mission for this work is to be able to create a community of leaders like yourself, like myself, who really get clear about financial sufficiency, getting what we need handled, doing it in a way that's balanced and peaceful and loving with the people that we love to be with, and at the same time helping all those who are one step behind us. Because I know you, like me, at some point have had some hard times and had a blessing of being seen and moving forward. So, if I can do that for you, if you're in a place where you're stuck, it's always my pleasure to help you move forward. But I know that I can't do it alone. And so you really become part of my family and my team as we do this work together. So, you're in the right place if you're a person who feels like there's more, right? There's something about this that you're doing well, you have a certain level of success, you're happy with what's going on to a certain extent, but there's a calling. For years when we were in Sedona full time, we had thriving businesses, was very, very, very grateful and very happy with that. And for those of you that don't know about my childhood, I grew up in a very violent childhood and a tremendous amount of poverty. I won't get into it too much today because it takes a while to tell the story, but in a nutshell, by American standards, it wasn't a picnic. And I grew up feeling that I really didn't matter and that, my world was just about survival. And yet there was something in me that always called for more. I don't know why some people grow up in poverty and violence and kind of shut down. And then others of us grow up in those situations and we feel compelled to grow and be more. And if you know that you're one of those people who has a calling and yet at the same time are not having the same passion or not really enjoying the freedom, I'm here to tell you that you don't have to work so hard. Profitability actually is simple once you get the systems in place around money. And I'm so happy to share with you anything that I can in the way that we've learned in our experience for time freedom and also financial freedom. But I want you to really know that when you get clear about what the more is, it starts to be very simple and it starts to be a blessing and it starts to be fun. So, you're in the right place if you know that you are ready to not only hear that calling, but to actually take action on it. And it doesn't have to take long. You can create great impact with your work at home, in your community, around the world, but only when you get it handled for yourself first. So what I'm going to do now today is just kind of let the cat out of the bag, as I keep coming back to saying this is the big secret. This is the big thing. I find that there are really three places that business owners get stuck. And when you're brand new in business and you're just getting started, there's that first level of, how do I create revenue? How do I actually take my product, my service, and get it out in the world and get it monetized? When people work with our company and they're coming in from the building phase, it's our pleasure to help you get streamlined and focused and get going. Once you have cash flow, then you've got to learn how to manage it and to really be good stewards of everything that's going through. But the big challenge for growing an amazing organization and creating a mission-based business is you've got to build team. Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, these big mega companies that we know today that are innovators and changing the way we see things and the way we do things, none of those are done by individuals. We try to look at the founder and we get excited about, we know who Bill Gates is, we know who Elon Musk is, we know who Steve Jobs is, but what we don't know is all the people behind. I was listening recently to a biography of Elon Musk, and before they ever had the first car issued, before they ever made the first Tesla, they had 300 full-time employees. And that was like, wow, to me, that's really where I see this. I see large organizations that are making a huge difference in the world, getting very clear about the power of talent. And what I want to share with you today is how wherever you are, even if you're just getting started or you've been in business for a while and you're a small business, you want to look at, how do I attract the right talent? How do I retain them? And how do I have them grow? Most importantly, how does having an amazing team make you money instead of costing you money? The big secret is that when you hire the right people and you bring on the right team, it doesn't cost you money. The right team and the right hires will actually increase the profitability of your business. And sometimes we're getting started, that seems like a hard thing to grasp, but I promise you, you'll really, really love it when you see it start happening. Sorry, taking a quick break for a drink of water. So during this training, what I'm going to do is share with you exactly what it takes to make sure your very next hire, whether it be this week, this year, this month, whenever it's coming for you, I'm going to encourage you to get in action sooner rather than later. But how this very next hire is not only the right person at the right time, but you'll actually see your profitability go up in your business. And this is, really to help you see that I want to take the fear away of you having this idea that your people are an expense. Your people are actually an asset. It's called the human asset of your business. And when you go to sell your business, if you ever decide to do that, these people generally go with it. Very few businesses that are in business today for decades are still being run by the initial founder. So I want you to think about, again, I'm going to share with you today the hiring mistakes that most business owners make, the biggest benefit for you of how to do this, and give you exactly the skills of how to use the org chart. If you didn't receive the org chart, you can grab it right now at lauragisborn.com/org chart. Make sure you download a copy for yourself because it's an amazing tool to use. And then I'm going to give you the 7 steps of exactly how we hire people. We've been doing it now for almost 30 years. The most employees we've ever had as an organization is 28 at one time, which is a lot for a lot of you to kind of grasp. And for some of you, maybe that's smaller than where you are currently. But most small businesses are at 500 employees or less. So what I want to share with you is, again, what's worked for us, what's not worked, places we've made mistakes, and then what I see happening all too often with our friends and family members and folks that we work with in our community that are in business. And I'm really going to bring you back to, like, what's the most important decision that you can make in business? If you don't get anything else out of this training today, I really want to bring you back to, like, why are you in business? And are you actually doing it for the reasons that you think you're doing it? You know, we a lot of us get into business, we think we're going to set the world on fire with one product or service, but we have to, again, remember that nobody sets the world on fire alone. It really takes a team, and it takes community. So the biggest keys for you today that you're going to learn are how to really use that org chart that we've given you to look at. And this is our version of an org chart that should take you to about $2 million in revenue, but it's not the only version of an org chart. You certainly, as you grow, and if you have different industries, will look at different pillars, maybe. Probably not. Most pillars stay the same, but you will look at different roles and responsibilities depending on what kind of organization you're running. So I want you to look at the core elements of almost every business we've ever worked with, every business we've owned, that focus on leadership, where you focus on your finance, because without revenue, you don't have fuel to drive the car. You don't have electricity if you're driving a Tesla. You don't have what you need to make it go. And that's usually driven for most companies by sales and marketing. That pillar is very important. Sales, marketing, and finance are the places you want to focus when you're first getting started. And very quickly, as a business owner, as opposed to a self-employed person, I want you to be asking yourself not, how am I going to get this done, but move into who can help me to do this. Without a team, you can't grow. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's really the core element of the work that we're here to look at today. And then I'm going to share with you the 7 steps of the Rockstar Team hiring formula. I've been working with a man named Jim Nismonger who helped me put this content together for you so that I was all over the place. And he's done an amazing job of taking our process and really bringing it into a simple 7-step formula that you can use again and again. And, again, I want to bring you back to what's most important for you as a business owner and what your bigger why is, why you're here and what are you doing. And at the end of this call, I'll let you know how you can get with me if you want to have some one-on-one time. You can jump on a link that I'll give you, and you and I can have a chat. And it's really, again, it's my pleasure to help you. I love, love, love the people that I work with. This picture of me and one of my favorite people, Diane Halfman. I'm in a season of life because we've been very successful over quite a few years. And at this point, we've sold 6 of our businesses, which we couldn't have done without amazing teams and without really great systems. So usually where I can be of assistance to you is to help you streamline a place where you might be stuck, to help you find hidden revenue in your business, and then really, again, help you over those humps of the fear of how am I going to do the hire. A lot of our clients nowadays that are a little farther down the road in business, been in business for a few years, are actually using me as a second interviewer, right, to help them vet this process of hiring team and building them in. And especially in family-owned businesses, there's a lot of things that go on in a family-owned business, but that's a whole nother training. So let's talk about this now. The most important decision that I feel like you have to look at in business, in a nutshell, is, am I interested in being a self-employed person, or do I want to truly be a business owner? Did I really start this business to get out in the world and create amazing impact? And if I did, what is it that I want to have happen, right? And if so, who's going to help me to do it, right? The most important piece is you've got to be looking at your business as a business owner and really move into that version of yourself. If you're brand new and you're getting started, you're like, if your business was bringing in $1 million a year in revenue, would you be actually learning how to design a website? The chances are probably not unless you're a web designer, right? Most of us need to really get focused on what is it that we are uniquely experienced to do, and how do we surround ourselves with team members that have amazing skill sets that are complementary, right? That's when an organization really starts to thrive. So The challenge that we face in this call is whether or not you're really going to face the truth. And, in our world, we call this a spanking. Usually if I give you a spank, I'm going to give you a kiss to make up. But most folks that are not successful in business are not successful because they're not willing to look at this honestly. And the reality is that when you start looking at what you're not facing and what it shows up for you is this: you've got too many things to do during the day. You don't have enough hours in the day. If you are feeling overwhelmed, if you feel like you get to the end of the day and you're not sure what you got done, or you don't feel like you got done what you wanted to do, it's a pretty good indication something's not working. The other issue besides time is your money. If your money is not flowing in, if you're not, you've got passion, you've got a service that's amazing, but it's not working, you're not being profitable, I invite you to have a conversation with me. Again, I'll be gentle with you, I promise. And the reality is that you have a choice. You have a choice about whether you want to face the truth or you want to hide from it. And when we're hiding, and the bottom line is we're not helping us, we're not helping others, and we're not really getting our message or our service out in the world. So let's not set ourselves up for bad surprises. Let's get into action today. And like I said, if you've been doing other things, you might want to turn them off, because when I get to the formula, you're going to want to see it and you're going to want to get into action and you're going to want to write quickly. So I'm going to tell you that before we get there, I want you to be thinking about, is there a couple of things that you've been avoiding in your business? Is there a couple of things that you might have been procrastinating on? This is usually a great place for us to get clear about your next hire. If there's something you should be doing, if there's something that you believe would help your business move forward, but you've been putting it off, chances are it's time to look at your next hire. And if you've got somebody on your team who is not doing what they need to be doing, I'm going to talk about, kind of, again, the experiences that we've had, the experience I've seen other business owners have. We fall in love with our team and we don't hire strategically. Things don't get done. It's time to pay attention to that. Chances are you're drawn to this conversation about how to hire a rock star team because you want to have a profitable business and you want to have it be easy. You don't want to be in overwhelm. You don't want to work 1 million hours a week. It doesn't make sense. And I see way too many women business owners specifically just burn out. They love what they're doing, what they're starting, but they burn out. And the reality is it's not your fault. You're doing the best you can with what you know. And isn't that what we all do, right? We get in there, we do the best we can. This is a picture of me when I was 23, working as a wench. I married into a family business. Trust me, I knew nothing about how to run a business. I knew nothing about building teams. And, the most common things people would say to me is, do you feel like you don't have a life? And the reality is that was my life. There was 6 of us in our family that all worked in the business, and we kind of took turns depending on who was there which day as to which hat we were going to wear. So, one day I might be a waitress, another day I might be a cashier, another day I might be running to the back and washing dishes. They usually didn't have me cooking because I really didn't know how to cook when I was 23. But, we're all doing the best we can with what we have. So, I want to encourage you to consider a little compassion for yourself as we go through this process, and understand that, pretty much anything that you are doing that you feel a little guilty about, or you feel like you should be doing it better, stop making yourself wrong. Understand, again, we're in this together to help make it easier for you, not to have you feel bad about yourself. When I was in this business, we owned the first restaurant, and then we went on to own 2 more restaurants. I worked 12 hours a day. We worked 6 days a week. It was kind of the norm. It was like the culture of our family. It was the culture of our business. I wasn't healthy. I wasn't taking care of myself. I didn't sleep well. I had ulcers, and I was a young kid, right? I mean, there was no reason for me to have that going on. But my relationship with my first husband, God bless him, he's a great guy, but our relationship was really all about work. We never really learned how to be lovers. We never really learned how to be friends. And, it was pretty sad because once we had children, I decided I didn't want to do it that way anymore. I decided this was it was not the way I wanted to raise my children. I had as I said to you a little while ago, pretty painful experiences as a child. I was born to a teenage mother, and again, she was doing the best she could, but I I really felt like I wasn't wanted as a child, and I wanted to make sure that my children knew they mattered. Probably a little too much, as you see us all in the bathtub here together. But I just said, you know what, this has got to change. I've got to do this differently. And I knew that there was something different for me. I knew there was something better. And when things changed, when I started changing and the kids came into our relationship and we had a very different core values, my marriage broke up, and it wasn't a happy time. It was really a very hard time, but we made it through. The three of us made it through, and he's doing well too today, and he's a great dad. But you know, it wasn't what I envisioned for myself, and I knew that there had to be a better way. And it's interesting because I could feel this inkling, you know, again, that life didn't have to be so hard. And it's interesting for me today now when I look at where I was and where I've come to. I'm many days in kind of shock and awe about the whole process. I never thought as a kid growing up, you know, struggling with violence, struggling with abuse, struggling with anorexia, that I would ever be where I am today. And I'm just, you know, again, it's my pleasure and my privilege to share with you how we got there. So let me get into a little bit of the how so you can know that you can do this too, because it's not rocket science. And if I can do it, you for sure can do it. So fast forward from the bathtub a few years, I met my second husband, Scott. I got married very quickly. We fell in love. We were both in real estate sales, doing well, and decided to start doing a little bit of real estate investing. And we started doing a little real estate development. And then we helped a friend out with a tanning salon. All of a sudden we had a tanning salon. And then one day Scott said to me, you know, I want to find something to sell to the tourists. We were living in this little town of Sedona with about 10,000 people living there full time. And this is back in 2005. And at that point, they were coming through somewhere between 3 and 4 million tourists a year, which is kind of a spectacular thing because Sedona is this tiny little town, 2 hours from a major metropolitan city, 19 square miles with 10,000 people living there, but millions of people are coming from all over the world because they have a calling, right, to come. And there started to be an inkling back in 2005 of the wine business. Now the wine business has exploded, and there's, you know, wine is made in, I don't know if all 50 states, but pretty darn close. We were shipping to 37 states with our winery, but he was making good money in his job, about a couple $100,000 a year, working at a resort, doing sales. And he said, you know, I want to quit my job and I want to do something with the tourists. And I said, okay, great. What do you want to do? And he said, I think I can take over the wine business. And I said, well, that's fascinating because you don't even drink wine. But that's a typical thing. Those of you that know Mr. Gisborne, he's kind of out there guy and just larger than life, but he does what he says he's going to do, which is why I married him in 10 weeks. And I'm happy to say, you know, we're coming up on 18 years. So it matters that somebody does what they say they're going to do. So I said, okay, babe, if you want to go for it, let's give it a try. And we went around and we visited all the different wineries in the state. And what we were realizing is that wine growers or winemakers are basically farmers at their heart, right? Like that's what they do. That's what they know. And there's something to be learned by this. This is why I'm sharing it with you. Chances are you have the thing that you are great at, and where your business gets stuck is that you're not willing to partner with and bring team on to help you grow that business, right? So you get stuck in thinking that you have to do everything. And the secret to success, if I can give you one big nugget here, pay attention, is to do what you're great at. So we met the winemakers. They were all really farmers and artisans, but none of them knew how to sell anything. And then I had the sales guy who was just fantastic at sales, been selling his whole life. We knew we were really good at sales. We thought, how do we actually partner with the winemakers and open up a retail store and open up a wine club and get the word out that Arizona wines are great. The second piece here that's a great takeaway for you is that we were targeted and niched. And I thought Scott was crazy, but he was really smart in this. He said, we're only going to sell Arizona wine. And I promise you in 2005, when we were the first tasting room, it was a little scary. Nobody else was doing it. Everybody thought we were crazy. Why are we not selling champagne? Why are we not selling French wine? Why are we not selling California wine? We decided to have the courage to get into it, open the store, and it took off with a bang. All right, we were in the right location at the right time. We were willing to do what other people weren't willing to do, but we stayed in our zone of genius. And immediately, hired people to be great. So what I had learned from back in the day of wearing every hat and being a wench and being a dishwasher and being a bartender and being a cashier was that where I was great was in building the systems and the operations and the finance. So we put together great systems. We hired an amazing team of salespeople. Scott at the time was not savvy on a computer, he's still not savvy on a computer. So I would hire people to work with him and behind him to ring up sales and work with that point of sale system. But it was all ready, and Scott said, okay, come on, let's go to work. And I said, I'm not going to go to work. You're going to do it. You're going to work with a team. We set ourselves a goal of $30,000 in our first month. And what do you think our sales number was the first month? $30,000. You hit it. All right. We knew we were on the right track. There was more to go. That was, let's see, it's 2017. So that was 12 years ago. Fast forward to this year, and here's my love after coming out of the hospital. A little pale, doing okay. After being in ICU for more than 2 weeks. What I can tell you is that from this place to this place, when we were in the emergency room, he said to me, if this is it, I'm good. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, if God's going to take me, I'm good. And I said, I'm not okay with that. I'm not good, but it's your life. I get it. And I said, what do you mean? He said, we've traveled the world. We've raised our children. We've had an amazing love affair. And, I love what you're doing, Laura, because more people should have that. More people should have the freedom. More people should know that they can have it too. And then I said, that's great. I so appreciate that. But if you are not going to leave the planet, what's next? What else do you want to do? And he thought about it for a minute and he said, if I'm not going to leave the planet, then I just want more of the same. I want more of the same. I want to support you and what you're doing. I feel like, again, there's a lot of women entrepreneurs specifically out there that need the work that you're sharing. And let's just continue serving them. Let's just continue going. And this was very precious for me because the first few years when I started speaking and leading, Mr. Gisborne was not on board. He loved what we were doing in Arizona. It wasn't something that he was excited about me traveling, but now we've had another place to grow together. So I want you to think about, again, if you could do it exactly how you wanted to do it, what would it look like for you? And it starts with facing reality. You've got to own where you are not being responsible for getting things handled. So let's get you into action so that you can handle what is working and not working in your business. And what's beautiful, what's available on the other side of this is that your mission actually gets to be there. And the work that we're doing now with Legacy Leaders is not just related to what we do with our business owners in the United States, but it's how we get to support women and families all over the world with the work. And we get to help them with their businesses. We get to help them support their children and get education. And if that's important to you, and your why has to start with what you care about at home, of course, but you have a calling for a why that's a little bigger, I want you to really get serious with this today and see how it all works together. I mean, one of my greatest gifts as a mama is to have these adventures with people that I love coming with me. Here's my son in Cambodia, my daughter in Africa. There I am with Lynn Twist, a person who's one of my idols and role models and a dear friend, who's one of the founders of the Hunger Projects and Pachamama Alliance. So join me together in moving forward to this. If you haven't put down your other things, get your pen and pencil out now because we're going to move into the formula. Because when you look back, I want you to look back at your life and have the same passion and excitement that Mr. Gisborne and I have about making the decisions that really move us forward, right? That actually take the right action. I see way too many women working way too hard who are not serious about taking the right actions. They're wasting their time, they're losing money, and now is an opportunity for you. It really is an opportunity for you to do things differently. So let's talk about business, all right? Everything that happens in business is simply a solution to a problem. It's not complicated. We make it way too complicated. My AAAs are some of the smartest people. I work with people that are genius smart, way smarter than I am. And when I can get them back to the simplicity of all business is in business to provide a solution to a problem. Everything we've talked about, from the biggies like Tesla and Apple and Microsoft, to small mom and pop operations that provide sales, to accounting, to being an attorney and an advocate for your people, to being a massage therapist. Wherever you are, somebody has a problem and you have a solution. And the more you get focused on this, and the more you stay in what I call the 1, 2, 3, who is it you're here to serve? What are they struggling with? And how are you uniquely qualified to partner with them to create a solution? The reason I'm bringing you back to this is not because I want you to be a solopreneur, quite the opposite, but you can't build a team if you don't come from your core. If your company isn't clear about your vision, your mission, and your core values, you'll start to break apart. So I told you the story about moving out of our business with my first husband, and everything we had as core values started to shift and change. Everything broke apart. I don't want that for you. I want you to get really clear about the success steps. And if I can help you with that, again, it's not, I don't have the context today. I could go on for hours about this, but we don't have a lot of time for Q&A. So I just want you to remember that we're always going to come back to the simplicity of who it is that you're here to serve, what they're struggling with, and what's the unique way that you partner, because this is how you're going to hire a team to help you and scale and reach more people. So if scale is not a word that you're used to. I remember when I first started hearing it in the context of this leadership, and it wasn't a word that we would use. We would use things like growing our company. We would look at like what our indicators were. How are we actually measuring whether we're getting results? Well, the fastest way to measure is your dollars and cents, right? Are you making money? Money is simply a form of energy that comes to you and through you in direct proportion to the number of people you serve. So if you as one human being can only serve a certain number of people, and with technology, you can serve more, but you actually need team around you to innovate and scale and reach massive numbers of people. And I promise you, with my work, I spend about 50% of my time at this point focused on how do we scale more nonprofits and help them. We don't want to own our own nonprofit. There's too many great nonprofits out there, but a business is a business is a business. So one of the ways that we as legacy leaders help our nonprofits is not only with funding, but also with systems and team development and operations. So how do we scale more? How do we help more people so we can all really eradicate things like poverty and lack of education? So let's move into your mistakes. Chances are you're making some of these mistakes if you're not scaling and you're not reaching the people you want to, and you're having a challenge on hiring. So I'm going to kind of go backwards in order and just get you the number 3 mistake. There's 3 major mistakes. So the number 3 that I see is really not knowing what you need. And what I mean by that is you have all these things that you put on a to-do list, which I'm going to encourage you, not if you work with me. If you work with me, you don't have to-do lists anymore because we have you put everything in your calendar. But most people, if they're not in our world or they're just new to this, are keeping a list of things to do, and then they're thinking that the to-do, if somebody else could do this for me, this is what I need in my organization. That's not really true, okay? You might need a personal assistant to help you with some of those to-dos, but when I start showing you again the magic of what's available for you, when you start looking at your business as a business, you start looking at the pillars of your business and what drives business and revenue. There's something called an org chart. And again, most small businesses, I have clients that have been in business 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. They don't have an org chart. We created this form for you, even knowing that it would be a little bit out of your wheelhouse for most of you, because it's a way that I want you to be thinking. Again, the core premise of this, the core principle of your work is, as a business owner, how do I run my organization? Not how do I get it done as a self-employed person. See this over here, when we're doing this, I'm going to go backwards in my slideshow. When we're doing this is a self-employed person. When we're doing this is a business owner, right? When we're going from a list to an org chart of who can help get this done, this is really the place. So even if you don't have any support, it's okay. I want you to be thinking about the roles and the tasks that need to be done in your daily operations for your company to get your promise delivered. So you're selling your service and your products, and then somebody has to deliver the promise. So if you're just a self-employed person right now, that's okay. You're going to put your name in every box, but print this out and fill in the blanks, because it'll let you know where you need to grow, right? This is where people get stuck. They don't know what they need. That's really one of the biggest mistakes, and it helps you to really know where to hire people you've got to fill in the blanks, right? This is the place where it starts to shift for you. The second problem that I see for new hires is, and for small business owners, is this idea that I'm going to put out a fire. So what does that look like? And I know you guys have had these situations where you're like, what's the most urgent thing that has to be done? The most urgent thing that has to be done is not always the most important. And, you know, I joked about this for years, and it's kind of ironic now, but when I would work with a business owner who was freaking out, having one of those freakouts about overwhelm and too much to do, I would say, you know, calm down. None of us are heart surgeons. And, you know, it gives me pause to say that to you today, because thank God for the heart surgeons, right? And their work is urgent. Our work is not urgent. And yet we think it is. And we make ourselves feel that we are much more important than we are. And when we really start to recognize that our organization, when we build it as a business owner, will create such greater impact and reach so many more people, we have to slow down and we have to really figure out what's important, not what's urgent. What is it that we're not trying to fix quickly, but what is it that we want to fix intelligently? And it's interesting because our program director, Anya Zern, who worked with me for several years while I was really crafting this business. I've crafted many other types of businesses, but not a leadership company, not a company that was focused on philanthropy. And, you know, one of the challenges we face in this business is that I'm so good at problem solving. I have a very creative mind and very quick, that I oftentimes would find a quick solution, but I wouldn't find a solution that was actually the long-term solution for the growth of our organization. And when we got this one handled, I promise you, it changed everything. I mean, it really, I think this is one of the keys to our success in the midst of everything that we've gone through this year personally, is building the structures to really provide the service, to provide the expansion for our company to reach more people without me. And that only came from moving out of this situation of putting out fires, and to really look at the cause underlying, tied into the bigger mission and vision of our organization, what we want to create. So here's one of my most favorite, biggest challenges that I see, especially in small business, especially with women. It's not that I don't like the men, it's just that I love women entrepreneurs. And I know, you know, as I am a woman, I know how you feel so many of the times. The number one mistake I see is having insufficient boundaries. Now, what does that look like? I know you might have some ideas, but let me give you a few scenarios. Insufficient boundaries is when you hire your best friend, when you hire somebody you fall in love with, when you hire somebody because you really like them, and more importantly, you hire them incorrectly, and then what happens is, because you love them, you don't let them go. So then you get into a really codependent situation. Now, I know some of you who are my more mature folks, right? I'm almost 51, have done this in relationships outside of business. But guess what happens? Business is just an expression of how we do other things, right? There's that saying that how you do anything is how you do everything. I heard that first from T. Harv Eker, but I think it's a pretty smart comment. So when I'm going to talk to you about the hiring formula, one of the things I'm going to encourage you is to not skip the steps, slow down, focus, and really look at positioning yourself with very strong, healthy boundaries. You're in business to provide service. You're in business to generate revenue so you can make contributions to the causes you care about and take care of your family. And the only way we're going to be able to do this is to have clear boundaries and clearly defined roles in our business and clear responsibilities. And there's some things to look at, right? So insufficient boundaries, you know it's not working when you're constantly complaining about the person that you're working with. Well, guess what? You might be 100% responsible in this situation. We had a business manager who was with us for 10 years. We loved each other very much, but it became a bad marriage. I was very, very, very happy when it ended amicably. And I didn't just quickly rehire for that position. We actually restructured our organization. It gave me an opportunity to go deep and look, and it took me more than a year to replace her. And it was actually needed to be several different people, but where we were as a company and as an organization, the companies we were running when we brought her on 10 years ago were not the place. Listen, if you'll do these things right, I promise you, you'll have people stay with you for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. We have many employees that have stayed with us for 7 years. It's a beautiful thing. So it's worth it to slow down, but you want to get it right. So how do you get it right? What do you want to look at? You want to, instead of hiring to put out fires, having inadequate boundaries and really not knowing what to do, you want to take the time to get clear. Print out this form that we sent you and fill in your name if that's what it is, but start to look at it. And if you're a creative genius, like most of you are, start drawing your own boxes, muck it up, write on it. That's why we gave it to you in a PDF. So the way to focus, instead of putting out fires, instead of just trying to figure it out on your own, is define the roles in your business. The org chart will help you do this. Determine the responsibilities for the roles. Who needs to be in those positions and what are the tasks needed? Identify the requirements to fill the roles. What type of person is in the right place at the right time? One of the things that we do is we ask all of our new hires to take a Gallup Strength Finders test. One of the things that this is like a bonus tip, but one of the things that I see often is that you can put the wrong people in the right position, right? Or you can put the right person in the wrong position. And that came from Jim, I can't remember his last name right now, but he wrote a book called Good to Great. I apologize for not giving you his, Jim, yeah, it'll stop me, but I'll move forward. You want to make sure you have the right people in the right position. So testing them and making sure that you are clear about what type of personality would be there. Somebody's writing to me right now. You guys are always so good and so helpful. So somebody knows who that is. And if you guys can look up Good to Great. It's pretty good to find. I don't want to get distracted by it. But the bottom line is this. We use Gallup Strength Finders. It's a $20 test. It's awesome. It will tell you what your person's strengths are. And then I want you to really ask yourself, do I have the right people in the right position? So if I've got a person, and I'll just pick on Mr. Gisborne, who's a salesperson, who's really great at building relationships, who's really personal, who's actually a big long-term thinker, but who does not have anything in his strengths around deliberate action or strategic planning or details, I don't want him in my finance house, right? If you get somebody that you want as a project manager, you want that project manager to be a person who's made up to be a person who cares about details, who actually really enjoys completions, right? And this is kind of like just a few tasks to give you. Most of us that are founders tend to be creative visionaries. We are not the best people for operations. And that's why I was saying to you about the wine store when we opened up the tasting room. I mean, we generated millions of dollars for years out of that store. We had it from 2005 to 2014, so whatever that is there, 9 years. It was literally me never being in the store, right? Like I was not the right person to be doing customer service, pouring wine, sales conversations. It's not that I'm not good at sales. I love sales, but it's really like day-to-day operations is a drain for somebody like me. I've got to be futuristic. I've got to be moving forward. So know yourself. And then know the strengths of everybody you hire. There's lots of different tests. You can try Colby, but we just like Gallup Strength Finders. All right, so be responsible yourself and hold people responsible. Don't have them making you crazy and then making them wrong. You have to be responsible, right? If it's not working, you have to have the conversation and you have to be able to give people metrics. You have to let them know what it is that is working and what it is that's not working. And people will do a good job for you if you actually help them measure their performance. It doesn't help if it's interesting because we have a business assessment. You can get it on lauragisborne.com or legacyleadersglobal.com. If you go there, there's a pop-up that says, take your business assessment. And where people that come to our community score themselves very low again and again and again is on having systems around team development. That's why we created this webinar for you. If you know what to do, right? Is that saying if you know better, you can do better? So be an advocate for your team members and give them clear communication about what your expectations are so that they can measure their performance and you can measure their performance. And then give them feedback, talk to them. I know this sounds a little silly, but you've got to have a system for feedback. We meet as a team every week. My project manager, we meet twice a week. You guys, depending on the scale of your company and the size, you might be meeting as a team every day. But if you don't have these systems in place for feedback, for measuring, you're not going to have great relationships. I mean, just think about it. If you're married to somebody and then you never saw that person, or you never had date night, or you didn't take time to talk, you just were so busy going through the motions of life and getting up and going to work and coming home and eating and going to bed. What kind of relationship are you going to have? Think about your children. If your kids, you like gave birth to them, spit them out and send them off into the world, it's not going to work, right? You've got to be involved. If you want amazing results with team, you've got to be an amazing leader. All right, so as a quick recap, the places where people mess up is not knowing what they need, hiring to put out fires, and having insufficient boundaries. The way to do it in the rockstar hiring formula is really simple. The first thing we've covered is I want you to be realistic. I want you to be realistic about what's working and what's not working, and tell on yourself. And if you need my help, tell me, and I will be a sympathetic ear, and I will support you as you move forward. And every fall, we do an event called the Path to Freedom, which I'll tell you about. I actually don't have much of it on the slides, but if you want to jump on a call with me, it's coming up November 3rd through the 5th. And we will help you as a community get it together, right? If you need like-minded folks, and that's our co-ed event each year. So we have men and women there. We have a lot of couples in business. So we want the men to come to the room to bring their perspective, to support us as women entrepreneurs and women philanthropists. But you need some help getting real. A lot of us need help. We think we're being realistic with ourselves. And I promise you, if the time and the money isn't working, you need a reality check, right? The next thing is step number 2, strategically decide which roles to fill. Stop putting out fires. Please stop doing this to yourself. If you want to get out of overwhelm, you need to slow down and be responsible. And I can just tell you, in our organization, we have 4 days a week where we do client fulfillment, and I do enrollment conversations, and I do, basically my job Monday through Thursday between 1 and 4, I do calls. And then on Fridays, our company's focus is business development. So if we are working on something like this webinar, if we're working on Facebook marketing, if we're working on team development, if we're working on an event, some of those things are happening actually during the week as well, during the mornings. But for the most part, that's a day where we block the day for creativity. I don't know if you feel like that would be something good for you, but decide where you're going to block time to work on your business, because when you move strategically through your business, you move so much quicker. The third step is to really define the responsibilities and the requirements. This is where I go back to, don't put the right person in the wrong position. Don't put the wrong person in the right position. Decide what those responsibilities are, and then really look at who the person is that you want there, what their characteristics are, what their traits are. And when you find that person, interview carefully for a fit. This is the place that I see, again, way too many people fall down, and I'm just sad because it's a long hurt. I'm a big fan of the short hurt. I like you to get into something, figure it out, struggle a little bit if you need to, because you're growing and you're learning. I like growing pleasures instead of growing pains, but slow down with this, you guys. Slow down. Give yourself permission to do it well and do it right. And then you get to celebrate. I told you I have one person that I had kind of an unhappy breakup after 10 years of a really good relationship, right? It was really awesome for about 9 years. And last year, it was time to go. But for you, look at what would it look like to actually bring on team members that you love working with. They love working with you. It requires you as a leader, again, to be clear about your vision, your mission, your core values, your culture. But when you interview for fit and you actually are clear about what it is that you're trying to achieve, they win and you win. And then one of my most favorite steps that I encourage people to do all the time is give somebody a trial run. We tend to hire multiple people at one time. Again, I could go into it, but this call could go on for hours. It's one of my favorite subjects, but we tend to hire multiple people at one time because for lots of reasons. But everybody that we hire, I'll just say this, we give them a trial run. We give them 90 days to really sink or swim. And that means 30 days, and I'll just give you a quick thumbnail of this. And again, I'm happy to go through it with you personally, but the quick thumbnail rundown is that the first 30 days, most organizations, if you're in business and you're hiring somebody to come on, they don't know your brain. They're not omniscient. They need you to slow down and teach them what it is you want them to do. So the first 30 days, there's a lot of learning. There's a lot of, how do you do it in this company? What have you guys tried in the past? What's the expectation, right? This is the first 30 days. You just got to slow down and be patient. The second 30 days in a 90-day trial run, you will really see if you did a good job in the hiring process. If you vetted them well, you spent the time to check their references, you really had other people on your team interview them, and you really paid attention, you're going to do well with this, right? you'll start to see that they're grooving and that they're producing. And here's the piece. You actually see how your team member makes you money. They don't cost you money. They make you money. If you're not seeing that in the second 30 days, in our organization, if I've made a mistake hiring, people usually don't make it past 60 days. They don't usually make it to 60 days. They make it to like 40 days, 45 days, they're out. I have no problem cutting the cord, saying thank you very much. We all part as friends, appreciate the help, pay them very well, glad to do it, because I know I've got to move on and I cannot stop our momentum by having a bad hire, all right? So 90 days, the third 90 days, if they're still there, you're probably going to give them a raise, right? They're probably going to need to grow and take more responsibility because they're doing such a good job, but you've got to set this trial run up. And the only way, again, they're going to know they're doing well is by reviewing their performance. So set it up at 30 days, you're having a conversation, set it up at 90 days, you're having a conversation. For us, you know, when we have people that stay with us year after year after year, we've got to have a system for, okay, let's choose, are we going to renew our time together, right? I mean, I go back to your high-level hires, people that you contract with as independent contractors. Really look at that every year, and maybe more frequently if you're able to put a system together, but really look at, is it a good match, and is this something we want to go forward with? But they don't know if they're doing a good job if you don't tell them. And then if it's going well and everybody's on the same page, you get to step number 7, which I love, which is to co-create what's next. It's no longer on you as I birthed this baby and now I've got to, you know, do everything until he goes to college. It's now your turn to have a partnership. I mean, I'm not a fan necessarily of flat organizations. You know, our org chart definitely shows leadership, and it shows leadership amongst each of the pillars. However, the voice of the folks who are in the trenches is priceless to you as a leader of your organization. And you want to make sure that you really honor that, and you want to co-create with your peeps, right? So hire people that you share the vision with, you share the mission with, that really, you know, are grown-ups and self-directed, and you'll find that they are super, super valuable for you as you co-create and move forward. So let me give you a quick recap of the formula. It's pretty simple, and I'll leave it up for a minute if you want to write it down. So the first is to face reality. What's working, what's not working. Your clues that something's not working is that you came to this call today. Otherwise, this wouldn't be interesting to you. And I'm not trying to tease you, but it's true. So look at what's not working and get real for yourself. Where is the room for improvement? Where would you like to see things different in your organization? Where would you like to get something off of you? Where is a place that you're procrastinating? Usually, if there's something you're procrastinating, it's something that's perfect for a hire, right? It's really time. And you know what, guys? There's never been a time in my almost 30 years, right? 28 years of business. I literally had never seen an easier time to build an organization. We've never had the internet. We've never had things like Fiverr, Upwork, the ability to, where the IRS, because we're in the United States, works well in other countries as well, where governments are allowing us to hire folks independently for just what we need them for, right? It's a time to be specialized. And you as your business has opportunity to scale and reach more people because you can stay in your zone of genius and really target folks that you're uniquely qualified to serve, that 1, 2, 3, and blow it out of the park. I mean, whatever your big vision is, I want you to see it happening, but it's not going to happen if you don't slow down and get this stuff handled. So the number 2 step is to decide which roles to fill. Go to the org chart, fill it in. If your name is in every blank, look for places to give up that that role, right? Who can help you do this? Who would be a good hire? And hire somebody, you know, again, just for that piece. You don't have to pay them. There's not a thing you have to pay them, but decide, is hiring that person freeing up your time to do what you're great at? Because most of us as leaders of our organizations are the main drivers of sales and fundraising when we first get started. So whether we're nonprofit and we're fundraising, or we're in for-profit and we're driving sales, or investors, and I don't know how many of you are using investors, but you as the founder of the organization are usually the person to drive that initial infrastructure and cash flow. Define responsibilities is number 3. What exactly is it that you want this person to do? Write it down, get it clear, let them know how it is that you want this to be done, and really make it clear for them. And then number 4 is to interview for fit. Make sure that the interview process is not just a telephone call or a one-time meeting over coffee where you fall in love. If you don't have other team members, have a friend interview them or a trusted peer who has a team that's similar to yours, have them interview, but bring in an outside view. That's why, again, a lot of our clients who consult with us use me as another interviewer, right? Because they tend to fall in love and they're not as objective, and I'm going to ask the hard questions. So I want you to do that for yourself. Make sure you're interviewing slowly. Make sure you check references. When we hire somebody, we do a background check. We have them sign non-disclosures and non-competes. We do personality profiles. We also do, we ask them to show us their credit report, which is, up to them if they want to do that or not. But I feel like when somebody's in our organization and they have access to high levels of personal data of our clients, there's a responsibility I have as a steward of my clients' information. And I feel like we want to make sure that somebody is not a criminal and that they are trustworthy. And a credit report is, again, we all fall in hard times, but you're going to find out who you're working with pretty quickly. Number 5 is a 90-day trial run. Make sure you put this in place. Make sure that you have it in your contracts. Make sure you have contracts. If you don't have contracts, let's talk about that. But again, at the Path to Freedom event, what we share with you, which is actually more valuable the longer I go along with this. This is our 3rd year doing it. I'm really getting clear about how valuable it is when we share with you our documentation. It's not, I'm not an attorney. I actually went to law school, but I'm not an attorney. And I'm not a CPA. So everything that we share with you, we ask you to take to your own legal counsel and your own financial counsel to run it by them before you borrow our forms. But what's great about our world is we don't believe in scarcity, we believe in abundance. And you never have to steal any forms from me. Anything that I've got going on, you're welcome to have it, because all I'm sharing with you is stuff I've learned from other folks, and I'm just doing the best I can with what I have. So when you come to our event, our goal is to really give you all the tools that we have, as much as we can help you around the path to freedom, which we see as building amazing teams and having great systems of operations. Number 6 for you in the Rockstar hiring formula is to review the performance of your new hire. Let them know, are they doing okay? Is there something you'd like to see different? The Brendan Burchard, I think, is where I heard this first. So he said that the key to all happiness is great communication. At the time, I didn't really get it, but it kind of stuck with me. But I think about it in life, personally and professionally, great communication is everything. So make sure that you become a good communicator if you're not already one, and slow down and really, listen from your heart. Be a much better listener than you are a speaker, and you'll find that there's so much more joy in that. Because once you've built this amazing relationship, now you get the opportunity to co-create your next steps for your company with a team that is fully on board and excited and passionate about your vision, your mission, and you get to work with these people. I mean, you guys, I can't tell you enough how blessed we've been with just having this in place, having this handled. And, and it's funny when I meet people who say, they're procrastinating on hiring. I can't hire fast enough. I mean, we are just, I'm really clear that this is the secret to our success for every business we've owned, is amazing team and not creation. I love the creation part, but I know the team is actually who takes the ball, kind of a football analogy. The team is actually who takes the ball and crosses the finish line. So for your organization, however I can support you with doing this and getting these things in place, I promise you the joy and the freedom that's on the other side is really great. And if you'd like my eyes on your business, all you need to do is go visit pathtofreedomcall.com. The URL is here on the page. There's a little sheet there where you can fill out a couple of questions and, jump on a call with me. Once you fill that out, it'll go to our team and we'll set up a call for you. I'm off the next couple of weeks in Sedona and Montana doing client intake with some of our private clients. But I'll be back at the end of this month, and I'd love to have a conversation with you if there's a way I can help you. And the Path to Freedom event, I haven't written it down here, but pathtofreedomevent.com is November 3, 4, and 5. The thing to know about our events is our events are invitation only. And the reason I do that is because I really want to make sure that you're in the right place as a guest. If you're coming in, we don't sell tickets for our events. We ask you to join us in giving to a charity cause that we partner with. our whole work with legacy leaders is how do we actually get more business owners to see themselves as a part of the change of the world. And your most important decision for yourself is where are you spending your time and who are you spending your time with, and are you really operating as a business owner instead of as a self-employed person. And for me, really being a business owner of legacy leaders, the people we work with in the private sector and the for-profit sector pay very well to be able to free my time up to be able to work in the nonprofit sector for free to help all of the people that we can possibly get to who need resources to help build their own businesses around the world. And when we do a live event, we invite you to come and we choose a charity partner and we just ask you to pay for your lunch and join us for 2.5 days. And I'm always amazed and surprised that the people that come together really incorporate philanthropy into their own businesses, right? Your business will actually make your donations for you. So whole nother conversation, but if you want to know more, give me a call. Path to Freedom call is where you would send, just fill out a quick application. And here's the thing too, you guys go through these trainings, I go through these trainings, I think I'm going to talk to the person and I end up talking to somebody else. This is me. We're not such a big organization that I'm going to send you to a salesperson. You're going to have a conversation with me one-on-one. I'm going to ask you to fill out a couple of questions to let me know what it is that you're struggling with and how I can help. And if it's a match for you to come play with us in person at a live event, each of our live event has a theme. This is systems and operations, which this webinar is related to. We do a leadership conference in the spring, and we do a retreat called Flow for women only that focuses on finance, sales, and marketing. So yeah, if I can help you with any of these areas, I'd love to do that. And this is just kind of a shout out to my girlfriend because I really miss her, Melissa Yamaguchi, who is the founder of Yamaguchi Lifestyle. She's spoken at several of our Limitless Women events. She's just gorgeous. She and her husband, when I met them, were in a really interesting place. And they're now, I think that they're all over. They're global with their brand and their products and their services. Wherever you are in your business, it's not about comparison. It's about we're doing the best we can with what we have, but what I love to do, if I may be of service to you, is to really dig deep with you, get into the dollars and cents, get into the team, and look at what is it that's holding you back, right? I mean, we all have places we can't, my friend Tracy Trottenberg says we can't see our own eyebrows. So if I can help see your eyebrows from the outside, it's my pleasure to do so. And some of the things that I'm really have a little more practice at than most of the entrepreneurs I meet after being in business for so many years and owning 9 companies and selling 6 of them is building these teams, building the systems. We've tried for 5 years to make systems sexy and we haven't really mastered it, but freedom is sexy, you guys, and freedom to really give back to places that you care about and to be able to support people you love. In my opinion, there's nothing better. So I'd love to be able to support you. If I can help you, please head over to pathtofreedomcall.com. Let's you and I get on a call. Give me a couple of weeks to schedule with you if you don't mind, just because, like I said, I'm traveling right now. But I am so excited to connect with you, and however I can support you, it really, truly is my pleasure. So on that note, I'm going to wrap up and head to the airport. And I just so appreciate your time today. Thank you again for honoring me with your presence, and keep me posted on how I can help. If you don't reach out, I can't help. So let me know what I can do for you. All right, take care.